There is so much power in early intervention for children with autism. There is no way for me not to overemphasize it. It is vitally, vitally important. And I've seen it time and time again be the thing that propels children to a much better place as they enter school and even post school, because those first years of life, there's so many great things that are happening during that time. So in this episode, we're going to talk about some of the things involved and the importance of early intervention. Welcome to another episode. I'm glad that you guys are here joining me today. I know that we've kind of already talked about this topic in a prior podcast, but I think that it's so important that I don't really think we could talk about it enough, right? And so we really, when we do early intervention, we are setting the stage for a brighter future. I mean, that's really what it all comes down to. And if you are a parent like me, at the beginning where I had a pediatrician telling me, give it time, don't worry, don't compare him to his brother, boys develop later, that stuff. My son is 28 years old, and I still hear parents tell me that this is what they hear today. You would think that we wouldn't, but you guys do, you know it. And so don't listen to that. If your gut is telling you something is up, or maybe you work and your child goes to an early child care center and the teacher is sharing with you maybe some concerns. A lot of parents' immediate response to that is, I don't want to hear it. He or she's fine. It's not them, it's you. And we train actually a lot of those teachers, those early childhood teachers, about how to talk to a parent who frankly is in a little bit of denial. And denial is not going to get you anywhere. And maybe it is nothing. Maybe it's just a little hiccup, right? Developmentally at the beginning of life. And if that's the case, early intervention is still good. So you can still get the early intervention. And then once they're kind of all set in school and things are moving along, then you stop the intervention, right? So there is no negative side to early intervention, zero. So I don't want anybody to be afraid of that. And don't be afraid, oh, they're going to have this IEP thing and it's going to stay in their records. That IEP thing is a really good thing. Then when they go on to college, they'll be able to get, if they maintain their IEP throughout school and they have accommodations, they'll be able to have accommodations in college. And that's like so beneficial to so many people. So don't hesitate. Just if you have that feeling, you just want to grab that bull by the horns and go with it. The impact of early intervention can be, of course, it varies from kid to kid because every kid is different. Every home is different. Everybody's commitment is different, right? So there are some families who just, we got diagnosis and we're going to dig in. They're hiring therapists. They got therapists coming in and out of their homes. They're taking their kids out to therapy. They just have all this. They're on special diets. They're all this intervention, so many different things happening. And sometimes the kids will just skyrocket. It is just truly amazing what happens. And then there's other kids who could get the exact same type of intervention, but yet the significance of their disability doesn't propel them to the same space as the other kid. But that's because we are all different. You and I could be sitting in the same classroom. It could be a pottery class, right? What you make looks fabulous. It could be sold at a museum, right? That's or to be held up on a pedestal at a museum. And mine, I don't know. Mine is like an old-timey 1975 ashtray, right? And so everybody's outcome to whatever they do is going to be different. So please do not feel like, oh, it didn't work, or, oh, it's not for us, or it's not for me, or whatever. But you guys as a family need to really decide what type of intervention you're going to even attempt, because there's all kinds of different interventions. But I find that like people who specialized in language and communication, so speech language pathologists, can really be gold. And many of the ones that I've had the honor of knowing and having for my son, they knew so much about so much. They knew about academic instruction. They knew about, of course, language development, speech development, social skills, pragmatic language. So if nobody else, talk to a good speech therapist. Occupational therapy too. Occupational therapy is not all about holding a pencil or holding a crayon. A good occupational therapist is again worth their weight in gold. I have seen elderly people who may have experienced a stroke or some other type of debilitating, something that was traumatic. And then in their recovery, they oftentimes will get OT and PT, even at the hospital before they leave. And within days, I see transformation in their physical abilities. So never underestimate the potential of intervention. And again, it's going to look different for different people, but that's okay. But we want to make sure that we give our kids as much access to different interventions as we can. In the US, while a lot of doctors out there can diagnose a kid at even 16, 18 months, there's this new research now with this eye gaze system out of the Marcus Center in Georgia. They were actually on Good Morning America recently, and they're able to recognize autism so much earlier, like little babies. But still, the average age of diagnosis in this country is 4.5. I would like it if it was better, but that is still the figure that we're dealing with. And there's a tremendous amount of potential that gets lost, especially between the ages of 2 and 4. So again, don't lose that time. And it may be on things like putting away the iPad, putting away the phone and the videos, and just getting on the floor and playing with your kid, going in the backyard or down the street and get on a swing at a park, and teaching them how to tell you to push them before they get pushed on the swing. There are so many things that you can do that would really be included early intervention that frankly is play, and it's fun. You want to make sure that you craft an individualized plan because, like I said, no two kids are the same. So you're going to talk to the professionals if you have access to them, and they'll do assessments, and so they'll be able to tell you like where your kid is at, what type of intervention, the level of intervention they may need. There's a lot of parents out there that get different types of behavioral therapy because they want to help shape their child's behavior so that maybe when they're in, especially like a public space, that, some kids, when my son was young, he had to learn how to walk through a grocery store, and just be with me in the grocery store without running off, without pulling things off the shelves. And those were all moments of learning. And believe me, there were many a day where I would walk into the store with him, and within 2 minutes, we had to walk out. We'd walk out, sit on the bench, and he was ready. We'd walk back in. Sometimes we'd have to walk back out again. But he got it. He got it. And he understood, just like any other kid, that we're going to go in. This is our list of items that we're going to get. And then you're going to get a reward for, being a good boy and being with mom while we go and we get some groceries. And so, kids are very malleable, right? There's lots of neuroplasticity in the brain, so they can learn. So don't ever listen to somebody tell you that your child has plateaued. I don't believe that. And I have talked to many professionals that are experts in neuroplasticity that will tell you that there's nothing further than the truth. All of us can continue to grow. I mean, how many people that are in their 50s and 60s, 70s go back to college? So if the brain stopped learning, that wouldn't be a possible thing to do. But people do it all the time. They take classes. They learn how to do yoga, when they're elderly. There's all kinds of things that you can always learn. So while early intervention is great because, that's when we start, kind of developing as a human, but intervention doesn't have to stop. I think that my son remained with his speech therapy clinic where he went, and they would certainly shift over the years into what they were doing with him until he was 21. He started getting speech and language therapy when he was 2 and all the way till he was 21 years old. And of course, at those ages on the other side there, they were working on the communication that you use on a job site. and when you're shopping and when you're dealing with people in the public sector, when you get in an Uber. How do you talk to somebody when you get in an Uber or you get on a bus? And so a good speech pathologist can really be very helpful. So if you guys really can't do anything else, I encourage you to look into that. Talk to your schools about early intervention and the importance that it's kind of put on your heart, and that you want the school to get in the game with you and you guys work together. Because when schools and parents and if there's any private providers, when the three of you guys work together, man, it could be really amazing and transformational for the child. Okay. All right. Well, I thank you guys for joining me today. And I want you to go to autismfl.org. There is a link on there to something called No Limits Global, where we literally have speakers from across the globe. We have people from Australia, from the UK. There's one anthropologist from Sweden who actually did some really interesting studies on a tribe in Africa and how they look at autism, which I found very interesting. So there's all those kind of topics on there, and it will be ever evolving, right? Every month we're going to be bringing on new speakers. So I want you guys to check that out. I think you're going to love it. I actually have never seen anything like it. And so we are excited as a nonprofit organization that depends upon people out there to support the work that we do, to be able to bring something like this to you guys, because it's been a massive investment for us, but we know that it's worth it, and it's going to bring you guys a lot of information and hopefully better outcomes for tomorrow. Okay. All right. I'm glad that you spent this time with me. And I hope that you will follow us and share this, and check us out next week for the next episode. Have a good one.